we have finally made it to the kitchen window. Now, the kitchen window, as you can imagine, is normally the dirtiest window in the house. You know, it gets all the splatter from cooking, food preparation, dishwashing, etc. So it's really out of the kitchen window and the garage window, which is the dirtiest in the house. It's out of those two. But the kitchen window certainly is the one that, as a window cleaner, I would say, I mean, I try and keep my standards high with every window I clean. But if there's one window where it's worth going to the extra trouble to get it perfect, it's the kitchen window. Because that is where the customer, if you're going to clean windows for a customer, or yourself, if you're doing this for yourself, this is where the customer or yourself will be standing and looking out. This is the window that you will be looking out of the most likely, unless you sit at a study and there's a window there. So the kitchen window is the dirtiest and the most important to get clean. So what I've got a feeling I'm going to need to use everything I've got. I've shown you everything I've got. So I'm going to make a start. Of course, another thing when it comes to the kitchen window is it's a little bit more awkward. You've got the bench, you have to get on top of the bench. I've got my knee pads, so I'm ready to go. Now I will start actually by opening this up so I can just sort of clean around the frame. It's pretty damn dirty too. Now I've already cleaned the outside, I think I may have mentioned that. So I want to be careful not to re-dirty the outside as I'm doing this. Okay, so I'll close that now. And the blind's a little bit in the way, but that's not going to stop me. So I'm going to scrub that. Most of the splatter is in the middle, so that's where I'm really going to be using the scrub. I'm going to be reaching for the scraper. Here it may not be necessary, so I'll just proceed to scrubbing with steel wool. Now, something to note about the scraper is that sometimes the scraper cuts down on how much work you need to do, how much scrubbing you need to do with your steel wool. So the scraper is not only useful for removing bits off the window, it's useful for removing bits off the window which you otherwise, if you otherwise tried to clean off with a steel wool, could involve an enormous amount of scrubbing. There is actually paint on the other side of this window, so paint's a good example. You can get it off with steel wool, but boy, you might be there for a while. With the scraper, as long as the window isn't one that scratches while you scrape, with the scraper you can get that off in just a few seconds. Okay, I'll leave the touch-ups till the end. It does need touching up, but I'll leave that till the end. I'm going to move to the biggest section in the middle. I'll do the top section first, completely. Little squeegees come in handy as well, so make sure you have a little one. I keep that there. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to reach straight for the scraper. I think it's going to make things a lot quicker here. That feels okay to me, meaning I don't believe I am scratching this window. I mean, I can feel that it's breaking the, you know, all the bits, all the splatter, I can feel that being sort of lifted off. But the sound and the sensation that creates is very different to the sound and sensation of when the window is a bad quality window, and that by using the scraper, you're scratching it. You're scratching the window. So scrub it again. The scraper obviously shifts the water just a little bit like the squeegee does. So you need to wet the window again before using your steel wool. Okay. All right. Okay, now how does that look? Now it needs a little bit, let me get into a better position. It needs a little bit of touching up, but not much. There are some scratches on it, but the scratches I'm certain were already there. They don't follow the path that my scraper followed. So I'm very confident that they were already there. I mean, there are a lot of scratches on windows. I was scraping horizontally for a start, and these scratches are vertical. And they probably weren't made with a scraper. They were probably made with someone using a scourer, something rough that they didn't realise was going to scratch the window. Even the scourer used to clean dishes, most likely. Now, the left side of the window didn't have a screen, but the right side does. So I'll get that off. Now that right side is really dirty too. So what I'll do the same thing. Open it up. So these windows are a bit of work, I can tell you. Oh, there's a coin here. Where's that from? It's definitely not, oh, it is Australia. Penny from 1952. It's a penny from 1952. I'll give you a better look at that side again. Anyway, I'll leave this here. It's not for me to take. Time to close this window and clean the inside. All right. Yeah, there's some paint at the top, so I'm going to get the scraper. It took a bit of scraping. And if it took a bit of scraping, imagine how much scrubbing with steel wool that would have taken. All right, there's a little bit of paint left, but I'm just going to get my dry piece out. Yep, that's pretty clean. So I've only got one little bit left aside from touch-ups. Again, it's a situation where the scraper is going to make things a lot more efficient. Good to clean the scraper too, but all the little bits get on the scraper, so you don't want them in the way. So okay, now, how does it look? It's good to stand back, have a look from different angles. Now, there's a little bit of touching up required, which I'll do in a moment. I'll do that in a moment. I'll clean the screen, I'll put the screen back. I don't think they'll be able to fault me on the kitchen window. I thought now's a good chance actually to do a little tiny tutorial on steel wool. I've been talking about steel wool a lot. Now, this big piece is starting to feel a little bit used for me. Little bits are breaking off. So I'm going to discard this for now. When I say discard, I'm not necessarily going to throw it out because it dries, and then you can sort of, in the interest of, you know, saving money, to tell you the truth, when it dries, I can break off the bits that may have rusted a little bit, that I feel like are of no use, and I'll find bits in the middle that I can reuse. Now, what I wanted to show you, so I've prepared a new piece for myself already. I always have a few in reserve, but I'll show you how I put these together. Firstly, I'll show you, now I told you earlier that steel wool comes in wheels. It's not the only way that it comes, but it's one way. It comes a little bit like toilet paper. It comes in wheels like that. So you just sort of roll it out, cut a piece off. And as you know, I also use a dry piece. I use a small dry piece. Now, those dry pieces come in, they start to get a bit worn, they start to get a bit rough. But I don't throw them out. I put them in a bag. And then when I want to make myself a new big piece, I go to my bag with all the leftover old dry pieces. I grab a whole bunch of them. I sort of push them together. And then I cut myself a big piece of steel wool and I wrap it around, and that's what I've done here. So I find by being, by making it go as far as it can, reusing bits that can be reused, I don't have to spend a fortune on it. It has become a lot more expensive. During the time that I've been a window cleaner, it's dramatically increased in price, and I go through quite a lot. So, I try not to sort of throw my money away. So I thought that would be useful for you. I thought of something else. One really good touch-up technique is you get your dry piece of steel wool and you get a nice, clean, dry towel. And what you find sometimes when you're using the steel wool, the dry steel wool, especially if it's on a kitchen window, you tend to smear whatever is on the window across the window. You don't necessarily lift it off. You may, but you don't always. If it's paint, you'd probably lift it off. But something like oil splatter, you probably won't lift it off. And so then you can use the towel to lift it off. So you've got your steel wool in, that's coming off all right. The towel is there if I need it, put it that way. It's there if I need it. Some of these marks are outside. So I will go outside and touch those up. And yes, window cleaners do have that sort of experience of, that's on the outside. I'll go outside, try and clean it. Oh no, actually it's on the inside after all. I go back inside. That's even me with 16 years experience, you still have that experience. Okay, so as I said, I don't think they're going to be able to fault the kitchen window. It's looking perfect.